telling you right now, I am on very little sleep because the wind out there is insane. You would think I live on the 100th floor of the John Hancock Tower or whatever that building is in Chicago, because the wind is nuts. It's nuts today. The wind is crazy. Yeah, it looks pretty decent out there, but I'm telling you, the wind kept me up, woke me up. So I'm in a mood. I'm in a mood to talk about Oscars. All right, let's get started. 12 past the hour. 40 degrees out here in New York City, coming to you live from Queens, New York. Good morning. What's up, y'all? Good morning. It's your boy, Renee, in the house. What's going on, everybody? Hi. Happy Monday. Good morning. What's up? What's the story, Morning Glory? Where have you all been? How were your weekends? I hope your weekends were fantastic. I hope you're all well rested. And I hope this week has started off with a bang. Also, fuck Spring Forward. Yeah, Spring Forward can go suck its own behind. Because I don't understand why we still have to do that. But yeah, lost an hour's worth of sleep. An hour's worth of sanity, some may say. But I am here regardless of the fact. And what a weekend it has been. As far as entertainment's concerned, obviously the big Hollywood event, Hollywood celebrating the Oscars and movies this past weekend, yesterday. If you were here for the live stream, the Oscars reaction, our third annual Movie Time Oscars reaction and live commentary, thank you for joining us. Blake and I had a good time, had a lot of fun doing this. And the cycle starts all over again. You know, we celebrated the close of the 2023 movies and award season, and now we are on to 2024. And I am excited and looking forward to what kind of film fare we're going to get for this upcoming year. But yeah, lots to talk about as far as the Oscars are concerned. Well, I don't know. Let me rephrase that. Is there really a lot to talk about, or is there a lot of people who are trying to force subjects on us to talk about? That's what we're going to review this morning. Along with the weekend box office, you had Kung Fu Panda killing it at the weekend box office, actually taking over the number one spot over Dune. Dune's only been out for, what, 1 week? But this does not spell disaster for Dune. Trust me, Dune did pretty well on its own. So we'll go over some of that weekend box office stuff. And then some headlines. Some of the usual headlines that I cover. Sony has a lot of stuff going on this year. They are trying so hard to recuperate from Madam Web that they want to kind of bring some nostalgia back to the screens. And we'll talk about that. Speaking of Madam Web, they're not really happy with Dakota Johnson at the moment, with all of her shenanigans and the way she's been downplaying the whole role that she has in that movie. So that and so much more this morning. Thank you. So I'm excited. Let's quickly talk about my weekend. I like to kind of give a little recap of my weekend. I didn't really watch any new movies this weekend. I had a lot of movies on my list of things I wanted to catch from home. I just didn't get around to them because I was doing a lot of other things, and of course, yesterday was really fully dedicated for me preparing for the stream for the Oscars watch along, the live reaction, and all that. So what I did watch was a lot of short films and short documentaries. I mentioned this in yesterday's stream that I caught up on all the short documentaries that were nominated for the Oscars. I saw a small handful of short films that were also nominated. I have also been getting into and allowing myself to go back through the Denis Villeneuve filmography because I know a lot of people are familiar with Denis Villeneuve when he first came out with the movie Blade Runner 2049. I think that's, excuse me, I think that's what kind of brought him into the populace, into the mainstream, if you want to say it and call it that way. But he's done Sicario. He was the director for the first Sicario movie. He did the movie Prisoners before that, which is a very well done movie. And then he's done a lot of other movies that a lot of American audiences were not exposed to. So I've been slowly kind of catching up on those type of films of his. And also I watched Prisoners and Sicario, believe it or not, for the very first times last week. And wow, what powerhouse movies those are. Really, really well done movies. So Blake and I are actually going to be talking about Denis Villeneuve and finally talking about our thoughts on Dune for this upcoming new episode of the Movie Time podcast. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can, I believe the way it's going to work is that you're going to first hear it on your podcast platform of choice. Like always, I'm going to try to upload those episodes on Sundays. And then there will be a feed that will go into the YouTube channel, and the audio only feed can be heard on the YouTube channel when it is posted live there. When it's posted. So it grabs the feed and then kind of posts. I don't know how it works. This is a new functionality that YouTube has. So I'm going to explore it and see how it works, because then it'll help me kind of streamline things. And then when I have a chance to really clip out some of the segments, then I'll be able to finally sit down and clip those things out. And then you could find video versions of that there. And then if you want to see full uncut, unedited video of the episode, you'll just have to become a member. And all those videos will be available to members only on the back end there. So I'll provide details about all that stuff when that comes out. That's all. This is all behind the scenes, inside baseball kind of stuff here. So if you just wanted to see how the sauce is made, that's just some insights for you there. But my weekend, yeah, like I said, catching up on small things here and there. But yeah, obviously the big thing was the Oscars yesterday. And yeah, something that Blake and I were talking about yesterday was that the Oscars was very, safe. It was a decent show. Nothing crazy or outrageous really happened. Some speeches were kind of flubbed a little bit. Some presentations or presenters kind of flubbed their lines a little bit. Nothing too outrageous or crazy, like I said. You had a couple of, speeches that were cut off because of music. One unfortunate moment, and I always bring this up, was, first of all, congratulations to the Godzilla crew, Godzilla Minus One, for winning their Oscar. This is the first time Godzilla, the movie, the franchise itself, won any kind of Oscar. So congratulations to that team there for doing an amazing job. Again, it speaks volumes about how much money that was spent and put into this movie and how it is recognized for visual effects category. So, but the unfortunate situation there is that, the guy, obviously English is not his first language. Plus, I'm sure he was very nervous being up on stage. So he was having a hard time going through his speech, and they started to play him off at the very same moment he was about to give tribute to a producer, I believe, that worked with them on the film who passed away recently. And one of the other ladies there that was with him had a picture of this guy. And that was extremely unfortunate. I don't blame the show. How would you know? But it's one of the things where it would be nice if they offered some service to these presenters, that if they are having a hard time speaking English, maybe have an on-set translator that can help them. Because the whole thing, and this, I believe this is like the second year in a row that they did this, where they didn't mention Price Waterhouse, the whatever accounting firm that they use to secure the ballots and make sure that no one else sees who the winners are prior to everything. They're like the gatekeepers of the winners of the envelopes. So I don't believe they mentioned them last year, and I feel like, and again, they didn't do it this year. So you kind of get a sense that they already know who's going to win. Those who are in the production room there. So if they know that Godzilla team, they're going to win, get a translator for them and help them with their speech and all, because I think that would have been better and much better handled than what happened and transpired last night. Politics was only discussed twice throughout the whole broadcast. With the ceasefire Gaza, I believe that was mentioned by one of the winners. I'm not sure if it was Zone of Interest or something else. But the winner for documentary, the guys behind 20 Days in Mariupol, talked a lot about the stuff in Ukraine. So nothing too crazy political throughout the night, even though outside of the show, there were tons of protesters that really stopped LA traffic at a certain point during the evening. So that was something that was really big. That, again, this is stuff that you wouldn't know as the show is happening, because it's a lot of behind the scenes, outside stuff. And, I was keeping up to date with everything on the news, and on, X and things like that. But, there's the two highlight moments of the evening, obviously, is the big John Cena moment coming out on stage nude. I thought it was pretty funny, especially since he is there to announce the winner for costume design, and he had nothing to wear. What was more interesting is if you go on Instagram or X, especially the Hollywood Reporter account, they have someone took footage of how they put him into that robe during the break, or during the quick segment where they were showcasing the costume design nominees, and how even Jimmy Kimmel was like involved in like putting his outfit back together. So I thought that was really entertaining and extremely funny. And it's hard to really tell if, I'm sure he was wearing some sort of, piece there to cover his junk, but it was pretty damn funny. It's like that moment was pretty hilarious, I think, in my opinion. And then the other big highlight moment of the evening was the performance by Ryan Gosling for I'm Just Ken. I mean, that stole the show, in my opinion. Really stole the show. It was well performed, big, extravagant production. I love the homage to like Marilyn Monroe's Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. I love that. I love the whole Hollywood throwback from the top camera view as he's being carried and swimming in the faces of the classic Barbie. I love that he also, gave moments to America Ferrera and Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. And then he, his La La Land co-star Emma Stone got into it too, and apparently that's when her dress broke because she was getting so into it. Slash was on stage. It was just a phenomenal moment. It was so good. And as I was telling Blake yesterday, it was really interesting because Ryan didn't want to do this at first. He really didn't. And then he said he will reconsider it if he could do it the way he wants to do it, and had more control of that performance. And he did. And I thought he did a great job, and he gave homage to Gerwig and Robbie, for, especially because it was like even a joke Kimmel made at the beginning, how Greta, for the most popular film of 2023 and not get any kind of director nominee, which is still a point of conversation to be had today, even though it was already kind of a sure thing that Nolan was going to win, especially, during the whole awards season, how much praise he was getting. I also thought Robert Downey Jr. had a great speech. Very Robert Downey Jr. A little bit of comedy, a little bit of realism, and just, again, it makes you realize, and Blake said it best, is like, he is really the embodiment of Tony Stark. And he, the thing is, like, he's always been that way. So it's just really nice to see him finally get his first Oscars. And that is another big thing to talk about. There were a lot of firsts yesterday, a lot of first-time Oscar winners. You had Robert Downey Jr. winning his very first Oscar. You had Christopher Nolan winning his first and second Oscar that same evening. You had, Divine, who won her first Oscar for a career that's still very fresh and very new. I'm trying to think if there are any other firsts. You have Billie Eilish, who is now a 2-time Oscar winner at a very young age, which is phenomenal. She's been nominated twice and won twice. Then you had Ludwig Jorgensen, I believe that's his name, the composer for Oppenheimer, nominated 3 times, won twice. So he's doing very well for himself. As I mentioned before, first time win for Godzilla as a franchise won. So that was great. Hayao Miyazaki winning his second Oscar. I totally blanked and forgot. Yesterday I made a mistake. I said this was his first time winning an Oscar. And then Blake reminded me that he won for Spirited Away back in the day. I totally forgot about that. It was unfortunate that he couldn't be there yesterday. It would have been nice to hear him talk. Wes Anderson winning his first Oscar for a short film that he made, The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar. It didn't sound like, to be honest, it didn't sound like the audience liked that he won. I know there's some controversy behind that because typically short films, you pay homage to like more of the smaller directors involved in that, and to have like a big feature film director nominated for a short film category, I guess could be seen as controversial. But I was happy that he finally got something, especially after his filmography of movies, and he was nominated multiple times in the past. I believe Royal Tenenbaums was nominated at one point, which I think could have easily have won. But yeah, it was nice to see a lot of these firsts happening. Some important, not important, but some interesting stats to think about from yesterday's. One is The Boy and the Heron and Spirited Away, both Miyazaki films, are the only hand-drawn 2D films to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Now, think about that for a minute. The category itself was introduced back in 2001, I think it was. And at that time, CG was already becoming a thing. You had Toy Story, I think, already that debuted around that time or something like that. So that is an interesting feat to think about when you put it all together. Yes, I was a little disappointed that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse didn't win. However, I was also very conflicted with that category because I personally thought both were very strong. And the more artistic lover in me was rooting for The Boy and the Heron to win. But I think, for the amount of work that was put into Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I thought it would have been really nice for those animators to get recognized for that. But I believe they won already for the first one. But, especially when all the news broke out about crunch time and them working on the film like weeks leading into the release of the film itself, I thought that was something that It would have been nice for them to get recognized for that, but it is what it is. I am so happy for Miyazaki for winning. Oppenheimer is the first time a major blockbuster won an Oscar in 20 years. The last ones to win that category, like as far as like major blockbusters are concerned, were Titanic and Return of the King. So think about that too. I mean, that is phenomenal. And there's always like that talk every year about recognizing more blockbuster films, the films that people actually go out and watch, having them get their own shine and recognition. And I think Oppenheimer proved that not only can you be a blockbuster, but you can also be a very well done, well written, well directed, poignant movie at the end of the day. And I think for, like, let's say this year, a movie like Dune 2, that could easily be in that same category. So could we potentially be seeing repeat success as far as blockbusters are concerned for the Oscars when we are in the 2025 award season and when the Oscars air next year? Could Dune 2 be in that conversation as film of the year? I mean, we'll see. The year is still very early. We're just in early March, so anything can happen. But it is really nice to see that Oppenheimer was recognized for the movie it is, because it was indeed a fantastic film. And it was Oppenheimer that walked away with the majority of the wins there. It is also kind of strange to think about that out of a very strong movie season, you only had 3 movies that won multiple Oscars last night. This was a stat that Blake and I covered yesterday as he crunched the math and did it on his own. But basically, you had Oppenheimer winning 7, you had Poor Things winning 4, and then the only other movie that won multiple Oscars were The Zone of Interest with 2. So you had a lot of, basically the night belonged to Oppenheimer and Poor Things. And other movies that were highly spoken about last year, highly regarded, highly talked about, didn't win anything. You had movies like Maestro, Past Lives, Across the Spider-Verse, like I mentioned, and Killers of the Flower Moon didn't get anything. And I think the one thing that a lot of people were expecting and probably rooting for was, of course, Lily Gladstone to win actress in the acting category. And, Emma Stone got that win above her. And this could be looked upon as maybe a missed opportunity, the snub of the evening, the upset. I wonder if you really think about it, did they mess up? Whose fault was this? There's a lot of talk during the show about thanking your publicist or not thanking your publicist, because publicists are the ones that campaign for their actors and actresses during award season. And there's been a lot of controversy behind all that. We already saw it last year with the whole Andrea Riseborough thing. So my question was Best Actress in a leading role, was that the proper category to put her in? What if, and let's just say what if, she was nominated for supporting actress instead? Could that have been more of a sure thing for her? Could we have seen the dueling or the duel between Divine and Lily Gladstone? I mean, that is a conversation to be had. We could talk about that anytime, and that could be like a takeaway from last night. And it was the studio who puts out which category they want certain people to be nominated for. And at certain times you have the actors or actress stating that they want to be considered for, whatever, XYZ. So whose fault was it to shove Lily Gladstone into the lead actress category? Who's to say? So maybe if it was a different case scenario when she was maybe nominated for supporting actress, maybe that could have been more of a shoe thing for her. I don't know. But it's very interesting to see like those big, highly regarded movies just getting nothing last night. So leading up into the show, I've been saying over and over that things are pretty much set in stone. Again, no pun intended for Emma Stone. Um, and I felt like as far as the films that were going to be recognized throughout the evening, I think that was pretty much set in stone. Everyone was kind of expecting that Oppenheimer was going to be the big movie to come out on top. With the amount of momentum Poor Things has had throughout the end of last year into the beginning of this year, that was also going to be expected somewhat. And then whoever else was to fall in line after that, you know. So very interesting outcomes there. At the end of the day, I'm just happy for everybody. I'm happy for those that were recognized, and I'm happy for the moments that people had when they finally had their award in hand and when they were giving their speeches. As far as the cringe-worthy moments of the evening, like I said, there weren't many. There were some Kimmel jokes that I thought, you know, given how you look at things, may have gone a little bit overboard, but you also have to think about it too. Kimmel played it very well. He played it safe, and he played to the crowd, and he played to the audience that were watching it. That's why his late night talk show is very popular, because he knows how to play to that audience. But at the same time, people should be reminded that Kimmel is also a sarcastic guy, and he doesn't shy away from, you know, poking fun at someone's past or whatever. And he did this one bit with Robert Downey Jr. about, you know, alluding to his drug history and his problems in the past. And he did things like, you know, sorry, was that a little bit on the nose? You know, and to RDJ's credit, I mean, he did play along well with all of that. You had the whole Kate McKinnon thing about sending unsolicited, tasteful nudes to somebody and who they were going with. And apparently Spielberg was the recipient of that. Spielberg is a great guy to play along when it comes to comedy. And if you look back in the history of Spielberg, he's always been like that. He's always like he enjoys putting himself in these moments where he could kind of like be a parody of himself, or kind of poke fun at himself, or kind of just have this comedic moment. I remember I was watching, going back, it just popped up on my YouTube randomly. I was watching the music video for Cyndi Lauper for the Goonies movie, Good Enough. You know, good enough for you, it's good enough. You know, and in there at the end of the movie, Spielberg shows up. You know, and I guess basically it was like this moment where he was supposed to explain what's going to happen in the movie, and he's kind of just dumbfounded. He's just like, well, honestly, I don't know. So it's kind of like a little funny bit that he had there. And yeah, I remember like Spielberg loves doing that, and he's such a good guy, you know, fun guy to be around. And I would love to see him do more of that, because I think it's really, really hilarious when he's involved that way. But I think the most overused bit, to be honest, even though it was kind of funny to react to, was the whole messy dog situation. And it looks like, as it may have been, that a lot of the messy segments were pre-recorded. They were not live at the show at all. You know, because I started seeing all of these behind the scenes footage of, for example, that is one really cringy moment. And I believe it may have been for RDJ's acceptance speech afterwards, where, you know, how they do their usual thing as they pan back to the audience and everyone's clapping. They had Messi clapping his paws. And I saw behind the scenes footage of them recording that, and they recorded that either earlier in the day or a couple of days before, and they only had a segment of an audience in the theater to film that moment. And they had, you know, obviously some puppeteer with the hands like that. And the other messy moments were all pre-recorded too. So it was messy, but Messi was not there live. All that was pre-recorded. And I thought it was just an overdone bit. You know, I get it. It's kind of funny to talk about this dog from Anatomy of a Fall. which honestly, like after I watched the movie, it was talked about too, and how the dog was. Because when I saw Anatomy of a Fall, it was in one night. I saw Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. And I remember I heard someone mentioning, like, wow, this was an evening for really well done dog performances between Messi throwing up and then the dog in Anatomy of a Fall pissing in the hallway. So who knows? Are we going to get a pet category? Best performance from a dog and or cat or other animal? In the future, we shall wait and see. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But you had that. I do remember another cringe-worthy moment for me was, but at the same time, I loved it too, was to see the twins reunion between Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. But the cringe-worthy moment was when they were talking about Batman and how they were both really trying their best to kill Batman. And then Michael Keaton's in the audience, and they're like, oh, there he is. You son of a bitch. It sounds like Schwarzenegger, that's all he knows how to say is son of a bitch. Because he said it at least 3 or 4 times. And, does he not remember that it wasn't Michael Keaton he was fighting against? Wasn't his Batman George Clooney? So Danny DeVito, yeah, he was the Penguin in Batman Returns, but like for me, that bit just fell apart when I was like, wait a minute, Schwarzenegger was not in a Keaton movie. He was in the George Clooney Batman movie. So that kind of ran its course after a while, and I thought it was like cringy after that. And at the end of the day, I just it felt like Schwarzenegger had no idea what he was doing up there. I felt like he was kind of lost. You could tell the age already setting in, which is pretty unfortunate. So I thought that bit, also kind of fell flat after a while. But like I said, I loved seeing them back together, though. And I don't know if it's true or not. The rumors I've heard of them possibly making a sequel to Twins. And if last night said anything, it could work, but it also couldn't. So who knows? Maybe let's just leave that in the past and let's not revisit it. Last thing I love to talk about, I'll mention, is kind of the back and forth between Gosling and Emily Blunt. When they were doing their stunt person segment, which I thought was really well done. Again, I mentioned this yesterday too. Could this be a precursor of them finally coming out with their own category for best stunt performance of the year? I think it's something they should really consider, and it's something that's long overdue. And it's kind of fitting for them, especially because they're coming out with the Fall Guy coming out this year, where it's basically Ryan Gosling plays a stuntman, and Emily Blunt plays a director. But their chemistry is so good together, and they were kind of rehashing the whole Barbenheimer competition back and forth, and I thought it was really, really funny. You could kind of tell like people who have like kind of that natural chemistry, and they both have that. You could totally tell. So it's making me a little bit more excited for that movie when it comes out this year. I think it's going to be worth watching after seeing their kind of back and forth on stage, and I thought that was really good. Also, I have to mention the whole Nicolas Cage talking about Paul Giamatti's performance, and just now I want to see a movie with them together. I think that would be amazing to see that happen. I would love to see Nicolas Cage and Paul Giamatti do a movie, because I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, that's basically the Oscars. Brief recap, rundown of everything that went down yesterday. Again, if you do want to see the reaction and you have the time to watch it, check out the live commentary and reaction that Blake and I did from yesterday. It's on the channel there now. And yeah, let me know your thoughts about how you felt about the Oscars. Did you watch the Oscars? Were you not interested? Let me know all your thoughts about all of that stuff in the comments below. If you're watching on the replay there, because would love to hear what you thought about the show as a whole. in its entirety. What stood out? What didn't? Is Bradley Cooper okay? Is he recuperating from the after party, drowning away in sorrows of not winning anything? Let me know what you thought about all that. All right. All that being said, I think now is a good time to check in on the weekend box office. This is a segment on Monday mornings where we talk about the box office breakdown, recapping the weekend's past box office. Who came on top? Who came on the bottom?
I'm going to come.
And who's simply going to come? All right, so let me switch screens over here. Back on my site, thenumbers.com. Not my site, I don't own it, but this is the site I love to go to. So, like I mentioned at the top of the stream, Kung Fu Panda 4 was the clear winner from the weekend with $58.3 million, which I believe is a franchise best. I think the other Kung Fu Pandas didn't have this strong of a debut. It also kind of shows you how hungry families and kids are in watching new movies in theaters, because for the longest time I've been saying that Migration was the lone animated movie in theaters, along with Wonka. Those were the only two family-friendly films in theaters for a long time now. So I think it was refreshing when Kung Fu Panda came out, because I think just, families were looking for something new, and you could kind of tell that they showed up for it. So it was really nice to see Kung Fu Panda 4 having a strong debut. It's not my type of movie. I've never watched any of the Kung Fu Pandas, so it was not something that I was going to go out there and watch myself. But when you look at the worldwide box office, already after its first weekend, it pulled in $80.5 million. Again, like I said, it shows you the lack of any kind of family-friendly movie out there, movie geared towards kids. And you can kind of tell from the results here. That's one of the reasons why it did so well. Coming in number 2, you have Dune Part 2. Even though it came in at number 2, it only had a 44% drop-off from the previous week with $46.2 million. Domestically, already at $157.2 million. It has already outperformed Dune Part 1 from its time in the theater. Think about that. But also, again, caveat, when Dune Part 1 came out, people were still not fully going back to movie theaters just yet. But when you look at the worldwide box office, $367.7 million. This is just its second week now. So it's doing phenomenally well. And I think I'm confident when I say this. Maybe in another week, it could hit the $500 million mark. And if all goes well, again, we don't have a lot of major movies yet coming within the next month or two, depending on how you look at things. And I'm thinking more internationally also. It has a very good shot at coming very close to 1 billion. But I still think it's going to come shy of that, maybe like around 900 million, I think. That's going to be the ceiling it's going to hit. But yeah, let's look at Dune 1 just for comparison's sakes, so that you could see what I'm talking about here as far as box office is concerned. And of course, it's not going to pull it up, because why would it? A simple search. So yes, domestically, you can see Dune only did 109.9 million, so just shy under 110. Worldwide was 434, right? Look where we are now. Only second weekend, and Dune Part 2 is already doing this much. So, again, different time. 2021 compared to now. Not a lot of people going back to theaters just yet. People a whole lot more comfortable going now. And we're seeing these type of results. So I'm very happy for Dune Part 2. There were three other new movies that came out over the weekend. A little bit smaller releases. You have Imaginary, the latest horror film from Blumhouse, distributed by Lionsgate, pulling in 10 million domestically. Then you have Cabrini, Angel Studios. This is the same studios that did that movie last year. What was it now? Sound of Freedom, the most highly talked about and controversial film from last year. So this is another movie from the studio, Cabrini, coming in at 7.5 million. I believe this is a movie about the nun, or well, she was indoctrinated to saintdom. She became a saint in the Catholic religion. So this is basically telling a story about this person. So you have that. And I say this week after week. Any faith-based film will do extremely well at the box office. You'll have people going out to watch it, for sure. So you have that coming in at 4th. Bob Marley's One Love at 5th with $4 million, 89.3 domestically so far, with 160.5 worldwide at the box office there. You have Hilary Swank's Ordinary Angels, another hope and faith-based film, pulling in $2 million, 16.1 domestically so far. Madam Web, 64% drop off from last week. This has been spiraling down and down and down, pulling only 1.1 million. Dropped from over 1,000 theaters this past week. Really nuts. Okay, think about this for a minute. Let's say you're a mom and pop movie theater, and you only have 2 screens, or 3, if you're lucky. And you happen to have chosen Madam Web to show in your theater. If it's still in your theater this past weekend, you only made $500 from that movie. Think about the cost of, employees, the cost of maintenance, the cost of whatever that is involved in running your movie theater, and you have one movie that's only pulling in $500. I would be flabbergasted. I'm like, damn you, Sony. So Madam Web, 4.2.6 million. Also the major butt of a lot of jokes from yesterday's Oscars. So really, really a nice dig from John Mulaney about sound and dialogue and how he recited the line about being stuck with a guy in the Amazon, which is not even in the movie. Like, that was just in the trailer. That line was not in the movie at all. So you have Madam Web at 7. You have Migration. I mentioned Migration earlier in 8th, pulling in 1.1 million. That's going to, by next week, that's going to be completely out of the top 10 because now we have Kung Fu Panda taking over. And then kind of just there, I guess no number associated with it. Maybe because some of these numbers aren't truly finalized yet. You have Wonka, Demon Slayer, Argyle, all there. After YOLO, another new movie from Sony Pictures, but everything after Migration is only pulling under $1 million from the weekend there. So Kung Fu Panda and Dune Part 2 are the lone winners from the box office over the weekend there. And again, major stuff to think about when it comes to Dune Part 2. Already beats performance of the first Dune. I think this is really going to solidify the fact that we will definitely get to see a Dune Part 3. As to when that's going to happen, who knows? I want Denis Villeneuve to take his time because he really produced an amazing masterpiece. And I can't wait for that. So for this week, coming out this week, I don't think there's going to be much competition because I think Ghostbusters Frozen Empire comes out next week. So Dune Part 2 and Kung Fu Panda will be able to still rule the box office this weekend for movie-going audiences out there. I'm trying to come up with what the movies are coming out for the next couple of weeks. Forget it. Let's go Movie Insider. Even though I'm not a huge fan of this site. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, this upcoming weekend is going to be very quiet movie, like as far as movies are concerned. Yes, you do have the American Society of Magical Negroes that's coming out this weekend. I don't think, well, I'm sure there are going to be people going out to watch that movie, but it just does not look interesting to me at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to do this weekend at the box office. But like I said, no major competition for Dune Part 2 or Kung Fu Panda 4 until next week. Because next week, that's when we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire coming out. And that you're going to for sure see that movie chip away at some of the box office results for that weekend. Plus, you also have Immaculate, the latest horror movie from Neon, starring Sydney Sweeney, which looks promising. So you're going to have that there. And then the week after that, you have Godzilla X Kong. So major competition will be had towards the latter half of this month. But for at least this week, we're going to see decent results from Dune Part 2 and Kung Fu Panda 4. So yeah, there you go. There is the weekend box office results, the breakdown there. Let me know, which movie did you watch over this past weekend? Was it Kung Fu Panda 4? Was it Dune Part 2? I'm planning to see Dune Part 2 again this week for the second time, and I can't wait because I've been dying to watch it again in the theaters, and I'm looking forward to that for myself. Let's get into some headlines for the morning. Headlines for the morning. Headlines for the morning. This is a segment where I talk about the headlines. Latest news. Up your ass.
I'm gonna come.
So yeah. So this is what I like to call my morning cup of joe while reading some of the headlines, and I am going to be reading a lot of them with you here. So the Oscars weren't the only awards that happened over this past weekend. We did get some results coming out from the Asia Film Awards that happened this past weekend as well. And I do want to talk about this because Japanese film had a great showing at yesterday's Oscars, with Boy and the Heron winning animated feature, and then you had Godzilla winning special effects. So at the Asian Film Awards, you had Ryusuke Hamaguchi's Evil Does Not Exist winning Best Film. So I'm here on The Hollywood Reporter. On a big night for Japan, Hirokazu Koreeda won Best Director, Koji Yakusho won Best Actor, and Godzilla Minus One claimed both Best Visual Effects and Best Sound. So, Oscar winner Ryusuke Hamaguchi's formalist art house drama Evil Does Not Exist won the Best Film prize Sunday night at the Asia Film Awards in Hong Kong. The Japanese film industry had a big night overall at the 17th edition of the awards ceremony, which was hosted this year in Hong Kong's gleaming new, I am going to butcher this name right now, GEEK Center? Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Part of the city's 2.7 billion West Kowloon Cultural District development. Japanese festival favorite Hirokazu Koreeda won Best Director for his mystery drama Monster, while the great Koji Yakusho took Best Actor for Wim Wenders' moving minimalist drama Perfect Days. Hamaguchi's chief collaborator on Evil Does Not Exist, Aiko Ishibashi, won Best Music, and kaiju critical and commercial sensation Godzilla Minus One claimed both visual effects and Best Sound. So there you go. Those are some of the highlights there. I'm so happy that Evil Does Not Exist got some recognition with an award, because that was another great film that I watched last year. Again, lucky enough to be able to cover New York Film Festival for last year's run. And this movie was one of my highly anticipated movies of the festival, and I'm so glad I was able to catch it. It was a really well done. Yes, it is an art house type of movie, but again, really brilliant filmmaking there. I really, really loved it. And again, if you're very familiar with Ryosuke Hamaguchi's type of movies, then you would have been really happy with this movie. I'm also happy to hear that Koreeda won director for Monster. Monster is another fantastic Japanese film that came out last year. Highly, highly recommend that movie to those of you who are interested in watching it. Sakura Ando, one of my favorite Japanese actresses, is both in that movie, in Monster, and also in Godzilla Minus One. So I'm happy that she's part of these two well-received movies. The thing that made Monster such a great film was that it was a one-centric event that happened in this town, and you get the chance to see it from three different point of views, 3 or 4 different point of views, with all of it culminating and coming together at the very end. And it was just very well paced, well directed, well written, well performed. I really, really enjoyed that film a lot. I'm also happy for Koji Yakusho for Perfect Days. I have not seen that yet, but it is on my queue to watch this week. That has been one of the movies I've been dying to watch from last year. So, but it's so great to see that, again, that film has been recognized for its merits. For what I've been hearing is also a fantastic film there. So really, really nice to hear that Japanese film is kind of making a comeback, because I feel like Japanese film has kind of hit a dull run in the last couple of years. Even myself, I've been finding myself watching less and less Japanese films in the last 2 to 3 years, because I feel like the offerings have been very underwhelming in a way. But last year was the first time I got super excited for a lot of Japanese film. Evil Does Not Exist, Perfect Days, Monster, the Sakamoto or Ryuichi Sakamoto not documentary but concert film Opus was another fantastic film that I watched last year. So I'm hoping that this momentum could continue, and of course Godzilla Minus One, right? I hope this momentum can continue into this year, because I've been saying for a long time, Japanese film is very underrated. I feel like more people should be giving Japanese film a chance. A lot of creative minds there making films, a lot of great directors, long-standing directors that have been making films for a very long time. And I think more people deserve to be watching these movies. That's why I'm happy Netflix shows a lot of Japanese programming there. They could do more instead of showing, like the manga and anime adaptations, which is all fine and good, but I would love for them to carry more of these Japanese films for people to see. And, obviously a lot of people are really passionate about their Korean dramas. Give Japanese film a chance. You'll see some very unique and well done storytelling coming out of that country. So I think a spotlight should be shined more upon Japanese films moving into the future. So I hope this can kind of spark that, with the Oscar wins last night and the Asia Film Awards here. So hopefully more and more recognition for Japanese films will be done soon, or at least in the coming future. It's funny. I notice, even though I like to call this segment Coffee and Headlines, rarely do I actually drink my coffee. I usually, by the end of me streaming, my coffee is already cold and it's like not even half drunk. Yeah, so I'll take some time to actually drink some coffee. All right, but the Asia Film Awards were not the only other awards ceremony. Outside of the Oscars, we also had the Razzies, the awards ceremony that shits on film. Sorry, as I said that, it just sounded so absurd. I was like, this is the awards show that shits on film. Takes a giant dump. You blew it! So yeah, Razzie Awards. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey sweeps its 5 nominated categories. Megan Fox won both Worst Lead and Worst Supporting Actress for Johnny and Clyde, and Expendables 4, respectively. So back here on The Hollywood Reporter, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey won all 5 categories for which it was nominated at the 2024 Golden Raspberry Awards on Saturday. The awards, known as the Razzies, honor the worst of Hollywood's year and are held on Oscar Eve, the day before the Academy Awards recognizes the best in film from Tinseltown's Dolby Theater. Excuse me. Interesting notes. There have been actors who have won awards that would appear to accept at the Razzies and also appear at the Oscars the following night. I believe there's like a small handful of actors and actresses who've done that. I think I could be very wrong here, but if memory serves me right, I believe Sandra Bullock was one of them. And maybe I can't think of anyone else. So I think Harry is it? Yeah, no, I don't know. I can't think of anyone else at the moment, but it has been known that this has happened. And of course, there's a lot of controversy with this awards because, you know, in our culture today, is it really the right thing to do to crap on films and people who work very hard on these things? I mean, at the end of the day, it's lighthearted fun. There was controversy, I believe, last year because they awarded one of their awards to a young actor, which obviously when you look at it, you know, optics doesn't look that great. So again, take it as you wish, grain of salt, however you perceive it. It still exists. So continuing on with the article, comics, Aaron Goldenberg and Jake Jones, known professionally as the Mean Gays, hosted as well as wrote and produced this year's show, retitled The Mean Gays Take Over the 44th Razzies. And here they are. I have no idea who these people are. Maybe they're very popular on YouTube and online, but I have no idea who they are. The Winnie the Pooh slasher film took home trophies for worst film, worst director, worst screenplay, worst screen couple, and worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Funny that it's won all that, but it's made so much money because it was made for so little, and it's getting a sequel this year. So are we going to see a repeat of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey at the Razzies for next year? Probably. Expendables 4 or Expendables, which led the group of nominees with 7 nods, won 2. Worst Supporting Actress for Megan Fox and Worst Supporting Actor Sylvester Stallone. Fox also won the Worst Actress for Johnny and Clyde. A press release referred to her double win as a rare Razzie feat. The release also added that Stallone's win further cemented his claim to being the all-time Razzie champion. In more rose-colored news, the Razzie Redeemer Award given to a past contender who has since gone on to better things went to SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher for her brilliant shepherding of the Actors Guild through a prolonged 2023 strike with a highly successful conclusion. Winners, as with the nominations, were selected by Razzie voters, comprising of 1,179 movie buffs, film critics, and journalists from 49 U.S. states and 24 foreign countries. See below for the full list of winners. So, yeah. I mean, what else is there to be said? Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You know, John Voight won for Worst Actor in Mercy. Worst Screen Couple, Pooh and Piglet. Oh my God, this is insane. That this is a movie that's like really exists. Worst Director, yep, Reese Frake Waterfield. I'm sure people will be knocking at his door to make their movies. Worst Screenplay, yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, so those are the Razzies. I think it's always funny to talk about along with the Oscars, because you have the worst in Hollywood and then you have the best, right? So it's always very interesting when you talk about that stuff. Sticking more with movie news, as I mentioned before, Sony has a lot of interesting things planned for their Spider-Verse this year. I think they are really trying to recuperate from Madam Web. And again, they're not very happy with how certain people are treating this movie, especially their lead actress in Dakota Johnson. It's rumored Hasn't been confirmed, but it's rumored that Sony is very unhappy with Dakota Johnson, constantly dragging Madam Web. Quote here from the Daily Mail: lots of people at Sony are questioning her star power, and how she reacted to this failure will likely come back to haunt her, says one insider. So let's read this article here from the Daily Mail. Now, just to keep in mind, Daily Mail is also and can be considered a gossip site. So take a lot of their reporting with a grain of salt. This is all just rumor at this point, rumor and speculation. But the article here says Dakota Johnson is said to be in hot water with Sony and the team behind Madam Web after infuriating bosses by making multiple public digs at the Marvel movie amid its poor box office performance. To be perfectly honest here, I think the way she's been handling the press on this is actually quite hilarious. If anything, it makes me appreciate her not taking this whole thing seriously. It's a paycheck, right? What was it that they asked Kristen Dunst recently if she would ever consider doing another superhero movie film or returning to Spider-Man? And she said, absolutely. I need the money. I have kids and a family to take care of. How much more honest can you be, right? People understand that these movies are paychecks. At the end of the day, actors, actresses, they are people who are working to make a paycheck. Yes, there is certain passion and love in the art and all that, but every now and then you throw a studio a bone, you star in this piece of shit or whatever, you make your money, and then that allows you the freedom to go for more things that you are more passionate about. Same thing works for directors, writers, whatever. So for what it's worth, I have loved seeing her fub on naming all the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies or not knowing anything about the Spider-Verse at all, right? So it is what it is, But here, 50 Shades of Grey star 34 plays the main character of 80 million production, which was ripped to shreds by critics and viewers alike following its release on Valentine's Day. The film grossed a meager 40 million so far at the domestic box office after scoring one of the lowest superhero debuts in recent memory, taking in a measly 15.1 million on its opening weekend. Now, Dakota is reportedly being accused of dragging the film and failing to take any responsibility after admitting she hadn't seen the film herself before going on to make several damning statements about the production. So lots of people at Sony are questioning her star power, and how she reacted to this failure will likely come back to haunt her. As stated from an insider, they claim that bosses had been fine with Dakota's co-star Sydney Sweeney making a playful joke on Saturday Night Live, but drew the line at Dakota's constant barbs. It is okay to joke about your movie not doing well and even lean into the bad reviews like Sydney Sweeney did on SNL with her monologue, but producers and Sony aren't laughing over Dakota's continued dragging of how she sees the fallout of Madam Web and how she isn't taking any responsibility for its lackluster results. Not every movie is going to work, but a lot of hard work is put towards even bad movies, and for your star to shit on it is a bad look. They continue, Dakota is being looked down on over her talk of the film because everyone in the production is thinking, what if the movie was still the same, but also a box office gem? She would be talking about sequels and probably praising herself over its good fortune. During a recent interview with Bustle, Dakota, who is reportedly engaged to boyfriend Chris Martin, hinted that she predicted the public backlash. She quoted as saying, "Unfortunately, I'm not surprised that this has gone down the way it has. But it was definitely an experience for me to make that movie. I had never done anything like it before. I probably will never do anything like it again because I don't make sense in that world. And I know that now." She continued, "Sometimes in this industry, you sign onto something and it's one thing, and then as you're making it, it becomes a completely different thing. And you're like, wait, what?" There you go. But it was a real learning experience. And of course, it's not nice to be a part of something that's ripped to shreds, but I can't say that I don't understand. So yeah. She seemed to have taken a shot at the bosses, as she explained. It's so hard to get movies made, and in these big movies that get made, and it's even starting to happen with the little ones, which is what's really freaking me out. Decisions are being made by committees, and art does not do well when it's made by committee. Films are made by a filmmaker and not a team of artists around them. You cannot make an art based on numbers and algorithms. My feeling has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart, and executives have started to believe that they're not. Audiences will always be able to sniff out bullshit, even if films start to be made with AI. Humans aren't going to fucking want to see those. There you go. In typical Hollywood fashion, if Dakota's next film is a major hit, then everyone will be kissing her ass again, they said. Right now, not so much. So there you go. So I think this pretty much kills any chance we're ever going to see Dakota Johnson back as Madam Web, Cassandra Webb, in any future iteration of any Spider-Man movie within the Sony Spider universe. So yeah, one and done. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We'll never be seeing any kind of sequel to Madam Web. So, take it as you will. But like I said, there's a lot. This movie was, I think, doomed from the beginning, with all the rewrites, the script changes, all those things. Even she mentions that, they were given scripts that was one thing, and then as they started filming, it was completely something else. And she was just there just for a paycheck, and she did her thing. As I said, as I reviewed the movie, yes, it's not a great movie, but there is a genius behind it because it is so reminiscent to 90s film, late 90s, early 2000s type of film, that if that was on purpose, then brilliant. And if not, well, a funny, crazy little happy accident, still not great, but I also didn't walk away with it kind of vomiting or anything like that. So let's see what happens in Dakota's next project, which I believe, if memory serves me right, could be Celine Song's next film that she directs. I believe it's going to be Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. Color me curious. Let's see what happens. Star-Lord's in the house. What's up, Star-Lord? AI is pretty incredible. That it is. And I have used AI on numerous occasions to either come up with title ideas for my videos, maybe come up with some descriptions, come up with starting concepts, and some thumbnail artwork in the past. So I will say AI is pretty fantastic, but it's not going to be the one thing that replaces everything. I think it will be there to help formulate an outline, and then for humans, us, to help tweak it as we see fit. I think that's basically what's going to happen there. But who knows? I'm just some talking head on the internet. By the way, Starlord, I hope you're feeling better too. I know you weren't feeling well last week. So, moving on to more Sony related news as far as Spider-Man is concerned. Something to note, these two topics actually go in tandem here. So you have reports saying that now the Raimi trilogy, that is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, 1, 2, and 3, will be re-released in theaters starting from April of this year. Now we're seeing a lot of studios kind of re-releasing their classics. Something in me is questioning, does Sony have an obligation to release a certain amount of Spider-Man related films in 1 year? Is that part of the stipulation? Is that part of the contract there? I don't know, but it's odd that they're doing this. Also, I do think they want to get back into some good favor with the audiences as far as loving the Sony Spider-Verse all over again by re-releasing these beloved films. The third one, maybe not so much, because remember, we still have, what is that? We have Kraven coming out this year from Sony, and Venom 3, I believe, is also coming out this year. So Sony is just trying to lay out a nice kind of groundwork where people aren't sick of Spider-Man universe just yet. remind them why they love it, and then hit them with these other 2 movies coming out. That's the way I kind of look at it, especially with the backlash from Madam Web there. Star-Lord chiming in. I can't say I agree with her. I agree with her about other things, but that we all riff on movies, good and bad. Pitch Meeting just made one with Ghostbusters 1984. Oh, Pitch Meeting, that's a YouTube channel, right? I gotta check on that. We take jab at things. Sometimes I wouldn't say I'm man and hate. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I don't know if you saw, I was talking about the Razzies during the show so far, and how that ceremony has been around for so long. And it's basically an award ceremony that shits on Hollywood film, right? The worst in Hollywood. And, you know, it's gotten a lot of controversy within the last couple of years, whether or not it's still relevant or if something like this should be still out there. It is a lot of tongue in cheek, but at the same time, you know, there are people that work very hard on these films. So to kind of poo-poo on them like that in such a grand stage is kind of, you know, maybe in bad taste, especially when they awarded that young actor or actress, I forget who it was, with a Razzie. Was it the actress from Megan? I think maybe. You know, it's like, be careful with that kind of stuff because you are forming a young mind, right? But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day. But moving on to Sam Raimi and Spider-Man, we have a quote here from Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi reportedly said that there's a chance of a Spider-Man 4 happening simply because he has the same desire as we do. If it is to happen, it will be at the right time. So, I mean, it's not, this is basically a nothing burger here, but the fact that he's still willing to do another Spider-Man, maybe a proper send-off for his Spider-Man, because I know he had plans for a 4th one. And with the great reception that Tobey Maguire got from Far From Home, you know, and of course, Andrew Garfield. There were a lot of rumors that Andrew Garfield was going to be a Spider-Man return as Spider-Man in another Spider-Man movie because of the success of his cameos, you know, which I wouldn't be mad at. I would love to see that. You know, maybe they're going to formulate something where in this Spider-Verse that Sony's building, where you have Morbius and Craven and what is that? Michael Keaton's Vulture, Venom, where they're all in the same universe. Maybe the Spider-Man who are going to confront them could be your older Tobey Maguire and maybe Garfield teaming up. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows what's happening in those pitch meetings over there, the boardrooms when they're talking about all of those things. You know, negative spaces I try to avoid. Oh, same here. Same here. If you're talking about like negative commentary and negative news and all that hateful stuff, yeah, I try to avoid that like the plague for sure. I poke fun at stuff, and we have tongue-in-cheek moments. We joke and joke, but you won't see me here on a platform saying such negative hate towards something. And I know if I did do that, I'd probably have a lot more viewers on this channel. Let's be honest, right? If I was here to shit on Star Wars, add me to the multitude of YouTube channels that shit on Star Wars that probably gets, 1,000, 2,000 views with every video. But that's not what I'm about, you know? Yes, there are certain things I don't like, and I'll mention that, but I'm not going to spend hours upon hours just negatively talking about something. That's just, I've never been that. That's just not me. You know, I'll be honest, but, you know, I'm not going to put out that false sense that I guarantee you the multitude of people out there who have like those type of channels that talk negative about all these things don't really hate it so much. They just decide to team up and side with this side of the fandom because they know that there is discourse, and they know discourse and negative speech and negative commentary gets attention. Drama, 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 drama. Right? That's just how it is at the end of the day. But I'm not going to participate in that. And if I don't get views for it, so what? I'd rather have views with people like you, Star-Lord, people who appreciate just talking and honest conversations than having a bunch of hateful people poo-pooing on stuff just for the sake of poo-pooing on it. You know what I mean? Kevin Smith said the same thing. And I respect Kevin Smith too. I always have. He was one of my influences growing up as far as you can do and achieve anything as long as you have the passion behind it. And look, Kevin has been involved in a lot of crappy stuff in the past. A lot of great stuff too. Yeah, and he's taken stuff in stride. At the end of the day, you know, we are part of a fandom that you don't necessarily have to always love, and you don't necessarily have to always have to hate. You know, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's it. Move on. That's all I could say. Speaking of AI, because we did mention and bring up AI before. So South by Southwest is happening right now in good old Austin, Texas. And I don't know if you remember, but many years ago, I guess we're going back to 2011. This was when they started talking about companies that were securing rights to likenesses to certain actors and actresses who have passed away. We heard them doing that with James Dean. And then we also heard about that with Marilyn Monroe, but we haven't heard anything since until now. So Authentic Brands Group, which acquired Marilyn Monroe's intellectual property in 2011, partnered with Soul Machines to create a digital Marilyn, which recreates her voice and affectations in real time, and debuted it at South by Southwest. Now, I don't have video of it, but I do have an image. Or maybe, wait, I'm going to click on this article. So I'm going to go head on back to the good old Hollywood Reporter. Before I do that, negative channels get attention because it's a woke war and they fighting the good fight. Yeah, the good fight. Fucking, who's that guy? Oh, man. There's this one, Ben Shapiro, who I feel like is like the leader of all that stuff. I mean, my gosh. Every time I see him pop up somewhere, I'm just like, please, can we not right now? And then he did that rap song, that rap video. Did you see that? Oh, I'm a very curious individual. So of course I watched it because I wanted to see what a guy like this has to do singing rap. And I'm just like, my goodness. Lord of mercy. All right. AI version of Marilyn Monroe unveiled at South by Southwest. And this is how she looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, Silicon Valley up your ass. Doesn't she kind of look more like a Madonna? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, years after the Elvis Presley and Tupac Shakur holograms, another celebrity is being brought back from the dead, this time through artificial intelligence. Soul Machines, the company behind AI-powered digital people, unveiled its partnership with Authentic Brands Group on Friday for Digital Marilyn, which uses Marilyn Monroe's likeness to offer both fans and brands a unique and personalized engagement opportunity. Authentic acquired the intellectual property of Monroe in 2011 after it was sold by Anna Strasberg, wife of Monroe's late acting teacher Lee Strasberg. Monroe had left most of her estate to Lee in her will. Digital Marilyn is said to interact with fans in real time using advanced natural language processing, deep learning, and GPT 3.5. Aren't they up to already 4? GPT-4? So aren't they already behind at this point? Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It replies in Marilyn's voice and affectations, shared anecdotes from the late star, and even delivers personalized greetings. This collaboration exemplifies the transformative power of AI in connecting brands and consumers. Soul Machine's co-founder and CEO Greg Cross said in a statement, Digital Marilyn showcases our biological AI bring in iconic personality to life through engaging dialogues and emotional intelligence. It's more than nostalgia. It's a glimpse into the future of immersive interactions. The exclusive first look at Digital Marilyn was shown at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, on the same day as its announcement. So when is the public going to get to see this and criticize it? It doesn't really say here. But how much longer are we going to wait until we see her pop up in commercials? We're going to see this popping up in commercials. I could see it already. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever been to Disney, but you know, like when you go to Disney or Universal and they have the animatronics that kind of interact with the guests, or like the ET ride, you know, as you're leaving the ride, because you gave your name to the person in the beginning, how it says goodbye to everybody. It's like, bye, Gene. Bye, John. It never said my name because Renee is not a common name. So I guess for some reason, E.T. had a problem saying, bye, Renee. So I think one time I said my name was Ben, or not Ben. I'm thinking of Ben Shapiro. And no one should be thinking about Ben Shapiro. I think I said my name was John just because I wanted to hear it say something. So I was like, bye, John. It kind of reminds me of that kind of technology. But I'm pretty sure maybe in next year's Super Bowl, we're going to be seeing a Marilyn Monroe commercial with this AI intelligence here. It's kind of freaky, but, you know, it is what it is. Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles. Yeah, I can drop names too. Hell yeah. Drop them bombs. So yeah, so we have not seen yet what's happening or transpiring with that company that bought the likeness for James Dean. I don't know what's going to happen there. But Soul Machines, this article also said, Soul Machines, founded in 2016, has previously created digital celebrities, including Carmelo Anthony. Oof, why him? Jack Nicklaus, Mark Twain, and Francis Ngannou. Upon the news, a number of social media users criticized the development there. So, speaking to the Hollywood Report, Tyler Perry revealed that he paused a planned $800 million expansion of its Atlanta studio after viewing this technology, because apparently he was going to go all in on a lot of open AI stuff there. So yeah, AI, love it or hate it, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, y'all. This morning, it was also announced, this is a game that I myself was always questioning, especially when we come to the conversation about live service games. The Warner Brothers MULTIVERSUS. Now, I kind of like bringing this game up from time to time because it goes to show you that how fast things can change in the video game industry. MULTIVERSUS launched one year. I forget the year it launched. Not last year, but the year before. It won Best Multiplayer Game at the Jeff Keighley Video Game Awards, which is an awards show that I still don't really fully support. And then the following year, last year, it went out of business, or it shut down. Because, you know, it's part of Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is trying to save on money and clean up things that aren't working. And they did say that they would return. And for the longest time, if you went to their website, it says relaunching sometime soon in the future or something like that. Well, we finally got word that MULTIVERSUS will come back on May 28th. But this time, it's free to play. And it will be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and on Steam. Now, I played it when it first came out because it was on a trial, like a beta or whatever. And basically, it is Smash Brothers, but with Warner Brothers properties. So you have the DC properties, you have your Tom and Jerry's, you have your Cartoon Network stars, Scooby-Doo's, right? All of that stuff. And for the most part, it is kind of fun. It's a smart move, I think, for them to say it's free to play. Because I remember you did have to buy it in order to play it after the trial period or whatever. But I'm sure they're still going to keep their microtransactions in there. If you want to unlock certain characters before everyone else, you're probably going to have to pay for it. Kind of like how Overwatch does it. We'll see how they handle it now moving forward. But hey, they're coming back. So kudos to them. Star-Lord, this AI imagery is too early for Marilyn Monroe. She was an absolute stunning person, bewitching people. Yes, absolutely. Did you see that movie with Ana de Armas on Netflix, Blonde? If you haven't, you should watch that movie if you like Marilyn Monroe, or if you kind of want to get a better understanding of how it was for Marilyn behind the scenes. Very, very haunting, very, very rough to see what she had to go through in Hollywood. And yeah, maybe they were leaning a little bit too much on shock factor. But I also say that Ana de Armas was brilliant in that role. She took a lot of risk in that role. Very similar to like what I said Emma Stone did in Poor Things. Took a lot of risks. And to this day, I think that was Ana de Armas is one of her best performances so far. She still has a very early career. And I obviously I want to see her do a lot more action movies. But yeah, check that out if you ever have a chance to. But yes, Marilyn Monroe is a very stunning woman. Was a stunning woman. And maybe ahead of her time. I don't know if it's safe to say that, but yeah, definitely a moment in time for her, for sure. James Gunn says Peacemaker Season 1 is not canon in the DCU, but Season 2 will take place after the events of Superman. That's the movie that James Gunn is working on right now and directing. So, what does that actually mean? Are we going to be seeing another multiverse kind of change here? A big seismic event that flips the script on a lot of these things? I don't know. But look, I loved season 1 of Peacemaker. I thought John Cena was brilliant in that show. Everyone involved in this show was so good. And I cannot wait to see what's in store for us this season 2. I just don't understand this whole canon thing and where this fits in the timeline. And I do feel like, look, I'm going to say this. When you are the head of the table, when you are controlling creative, you can do whatever you want. Now, people were already kind of giving James Gunn shit about, having his brother involved in his projects. It is what it is. Look, Ron Howard did it before in the past. So he's definitely not going to be the last. Plus, he did get some crap because, he wasn't bringing back Gal Gadot. He wasn't bringing back Henry Cavill. All those people he wasn't bringing back. But Peacemaker, you know what? I'm going to continue on with that. Regardless if it fits within this new DCU timeline. And he has control over it. It's his property. It's his project. That's his baby. So he could do what he wants with it. And if Warner Brothers is allowing him to do it, they trust in him to do it, it is what it is. But I will say this. Season 1 was fantastic. And if we're going to get the same and maybe better for season 2, sign me up. I'm all down for that. I saw her interviews in real life. Nothing compares. Oh, of course. No, of course. I mean, come on. Nothing compares to the real thing, right? That's usually how it is. So yeah, so that was some interesting stuff there as far as Peacemaker is concerned. And the DCU. Who's excited for Stranger Things? Final season coming out. I am. Me. This guy. I'm still a huge Stranger Things fan. Love that show. I wish they filmed these shows more closer together because it is kind of off-putting to see how grown up the kids have gotten, especially since they're all supposed to still be in high school. But Millie Bobby Brown reveals the final season of Stranger Things has 9 months of filming left. So they're currently filming right now. Plus, Millie Bobby Brown just has a new movie on Netflix that dropped called Damsel that I'm planning to watch this week. So stay tuned for my review on that. I'm very curious to see how that movie is. So you have that. Now we have also news about Daisy Ridley and the new Star Wars script with her return as Rey. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm a little froggy. There's a frog in my throat. Rabbit.
You blew it!
All right. So I'm here on Dark Horizons. Star Wars. Excuse me, as I choke on my own coffee. Star Wars alum Daisy Ridley will be returning to the franchise soon in a new project which was believed to be set around 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker. Filming is expected to begin later this year on the film, what has been dubbed New Jedi Order in the past, with Ridley having previously discussed her excitement regarding where her character goes next. Recently, rumors began circulating online about the film's potential storyline. However, Ridley, appearing at South by Southwest to promote her new film Magpie, has shot down many of those reports. Speaking with Collider, was asked whether New Jedi Order would be the film's title. She says, "I don't know. I mean, I think so. From the announcement, I don't think that's changed. I know a script is happening, and I'm going to be reading it imminently, which is very exciting. I think filming could be this year. It could be, but I'm not sure. I think, to be honest, the writer's strike has obviously delayed quite a lot of things, so the intention was later this year. Hopefully it will be. Otherwise, top of next, I would imagine. That would suggest the script is currently unfinished, and so any potential story spoilers are considered pure speculation for now. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy directs the film, which also hasn't set a release date. I think what this really says to me is, at the end of the day, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is top priority for them right now, and that's what they're focusing on. So this script is being delayed on purpose. Because Star Wars needs a win, especially when it comes to movies, and they're banking all of it on Grogu and the Mandalorian at the moment. So, will we get this movie eventually? Yes, I do think we are. I don't think this is going to go the ways of Patty Jenkinson's once rumored Rebel Assault movie or whatever that was. It's just going to be slightly delayed, and they're going to play it out to see how reaction goes and so on and so forth. So, that's all. I only saw one woman as beautiful, and that was on Baggage. And the dumbass eliminator. Is Baggage one of those like reality shows like The Bachelor? Yeah, let me know. I don't know. So that's some Star Wars news there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Also, going back again to Stranger Things, this is something that I'm actually kind of happy about. Again, me being a big Stranger Things fan that I am. And for those of you who don't know, there is a play right now in London, a Stranger Things play that was written by the Duffer Brothers, that does kind of go through a storyline that is canon to the overall Stranger Things storyline. I believe it shows the early beginnings of the scientist, the guy played by Matthew Modine. I forget the character's name, but the one who is basically responsible for training and securing all these kids, and which led us to eventually getting Millie Bobby Brown's character there. So it looks like that this play will eventually come to Broadway, and for me living in New York, that makes me extremely happy. That means I finally get to see it. So Netflix's Stranger Things play looks to move to Broadway. The production, which is currently running in the West End, posted a casting notice pointing to a Broadway run. A Broadway transfer may be in store for the stage production of Stranger Things, The First Shadow. A casting notice calling for video submissions from equity actors has been posted for the production with a listed Broadway start in 2025. A theater has not yet been named. Stephen Daldry, who helmed the West End production of the show, is listed as director for the possible Broadway transfer with Justin Martin as co-director. Neither Netflix nor Sonia Friedman Productions, the two producers of the show, immediately responded to a request for comment on plans for Broadway. A spokesperson for the production in London said more information about the future life of the production will be shared at a later time. The audition notice alone does not automatically mean it's coming to Broadway, but the play is already proving popular in the West End. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. It opened in December 14th, set up a prequel to the Netflix series with younger versions of the characters from television, including Winona Ryder's Joyce, Sean Astin's Bob, and David Harbour's Hopper. The plot of the play saying it's Hawkins 1959, a regular town with regular worries. Hopper's car won't start, Bob's sister won't take his radio show seriously, and Joyce just wants to get out as soon as she can. When new student Henry Creel and his family arrive, they find a fresh start isn't that easy, and the shadows of the past have a very long reach. The Duffer Brothers, who created the series, are credited with the original story for the play, in addition to Teffrey and Jack Thorne, who wrote the stage adaptation of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. This would be the next step in Netflix's foray into Broadway. The streaming giant is a producer on the stage play Patriots alongside Friedman. The play, which is written by Peter Morgan, creator of the Netflix series The Crown, is scheduled to begin previews April 1 and open on April 22nd at the Ethel Barrymore Theater. So yeah, I'm excited because I can't wait to finally check this play out and have a chance to, if this is indeed true. Because, again, I am a sucker for anything Stranger Things, and I can't wait to check it out. And I am excited for this upcoming final season to close out the series. Let's see here. It's a contest with Jerry Springer where 3 men or women compete for a shot at love by revealing 3 suitcases of their baggage. Oh, I get it. That's hilarious. Where is it airing? Where can I watch it? Is that like let me guess. Is it either Lifetime or Bravo? I feel like those are the networks that now have all of these things there. Or is it Core TV? Didn't Core TV turn into like the reality show channel now? I'm not big into reality shows, if I'm to be very honest with you. I honestly can't stand a lot of them, but maybe I'll watch an episode or two. We'll see. 2 more bits here that I want to cover. One is MoviePass. Who remembers MoviePass? I remember it very well, and I don't know if anyone else remembers it like I do, because I got into the whole MoviePass thing when they were still offering it for $10 a month. And for those who didn't know or who are not familiar, MoviePass was the precursor to the movie passes or movie programs that now you see from AMC and Regal, amongst others, I think, that offer it now. It allows you for quote unquote unlimited viewings of movies in a given month with that $10 fee, subscription fee. Now, the way MoviePass handled it was that they gave you kind of like a credit card that was tied to your account. You didn't pay anything, but you basically had to go to a theater, go on the app, check in that you're planning to watch said movie at said time. They'll register your account, your card, to that movie and that showtime. Then you will go on and proceed to buy the ticket yourself and the card will cover it for you. That's how it worked. And you were allowed to do this, I believe, once a day. I don't think they allowed you to do it twice a day, but once a day for every day within the month. And I took full advantage of that when that first came out, because there was no such thing at the time. They were the ones that kind of spearheaded that whole system. And then the program itself went to hell, went to shit, because they couldn't sustain its model. They weren't making enough revenue. Theaters were getting upset with them. Then they also started doing weird promotions with studios to promote their films. So they would say that all tickets for certain other films were blocked out or sold out, but you could still see this movie if you wanted to. And there was some hidden marketing involved in all of that stuff. At the end of the day, it crashed and burned. And there was also a lot of reports about mismanagement behind the scenes, bad budgeting, blah, 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 blah. Last year, MoviePass, who is now owned by someone else, is attempted to make a comeback. They're still around today, experimenting in certain markets and seeing if their model can still work, a newly revamped model. But now that you have like AMC with their program and Regal with their own program, it's almost as if it's not even worth going with a MoviePass, in my opinion, unless you live in a location where maybe you don't have easy access to a Regal or easy access to an AMC, and maybe you have access to something else. And maybe MoviePass can help you out with that. I don't know. I was tempted to try it out again as soon as it was available in New York to test out, but I thought better. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to put myself through that headache again. So there's a report now that MoviePass is considering a video on demand approach, I guess, to kind of expand on their possibilities and find new ways to make money. So, Star-Lord, not sure Jerry Springer passed. They should have reruns on YouTube, episodes or season to purchase. Not so much reality show, but more like a game show. Okay, I'll check it out on YouTube then. Thank you for letting me know of that. So back here on Dark Horizons, MoviePass CEO Stacy Spikes says its ticketing service may allow users who buy tickets on the app to watch commercials in exchange for credits they can use towards movie tickets. I already hate this idea. Spikes co-founded the company, which was then acquired by Ted Farnsworth and Mitch Lowe, who ejected him and ran the company into the ground with its ultra-low pricing ticket offers. This is the past. Lowe and Farnsworth have been sued for fraud by the SEC, while shareholders in MoviePass's parent company, Helios and Matheson, were wiped out when it filed for Chapter 11. Spikes relaunched the company out of bankruptcy in 2022 with more responsible pricing and are aiming to start a beta trial of the ads for credits plan this coming summer. Appearing again at South by Southwest after the premiere of the Muda Ali directed documentary MoviePass Movie Crash, Spikes discussed the thinking of the new strategy, which is inspired by the rise of AVOD and wants to do the same thing with cinema going. Quote, "We've always looked at how cinema can compete against its video cousin. Its video cousin has three business models: TV on demand, SV on demand, which is service video on demand, streaming video on demand, and AVOD, which is ad videos on demand, I think. Advertising videos on demand, or whatever. Something on demand. FUCK, how about that? We believe there is a world where you can actually go to the movies for free. There is advertising that loves partnering. I'm going to use an extreme example. Every time there is a James Bond movie, there is Heineken, Omega watches, BMW, Aston Martin, Hugo Boss suits. Every time. We know it's going to happen, and the brands know it because it's a very effective sell-through. I believe that AVOD can make a portion of movie-going completely free, where people will be able to earn credits related to watching that advertising content offline that can convert into movie tickets. MoviePass Movie Crash chronicles the origin story, meteoric rise, and stranger than fiction implosion of MoviePass as told through the eyes of the company's co-founders. I am not a fan of this at all. There are companies right now that, and the only reason why I know this is because recently there have been people waiting for you to leave the theater and take surveys. And you can answer your survey and your thoughts about the movie and your movie going experience and all that stuff. At the end of the survey, it basically tempts you to say, would you like the opportunity to provide more feedback in the future in exchange for maybe watching movies for free? So I was curious and I said, all right, I'll sign up for this just to see what it's about. The deal is that they are a marketing firm that studios will hire to get basically audience reactions and audience feedback. They are, audience studies. In the same vein as when they do test screenings to test how a movie is received by certain audiences and what kind of feedback could be given to the studio as far as maybe further editing or changing in storylines or whatever the case is. So this marketing firm that is in association with the survey taking that they do at the movie theaters, they task you who sign up to watch trailers, movie trailers. And I did it once. And the trailer could be anything. My trailer at the time was for the Haunted Mansion movie that came out last year, before the movie came out. So you get to watch this trailer that hasn't been released yet to the public. And then they survey you on your thoughts and reactions to the trailer. And this survey can be easily like 30 minutes to take. It's so time consuming. And they ask you so many specifics like, what bit of the trailer stood out to you? Which part of the trailer did you not like? Do you think a certain audience will like this trailer? After watching the trailer, are you more excited to watch this film? Were you aware of this film before you saw the trailer? On and on and on and on. And if you answer enough of these surveys, you can exchange your credits that you earn. You can exchange them for movie tickets. But you have to be specific as to which theater. Are you going to go to AMC? Or are you going to go to Regal? Or if none of them are available, you could exchange it for an Amazon gift card. Right? And once you make a choice, you're locked in. You cannot change. But after the experience of the first time I took a survey, I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. It's so time consuming. And for what? For a third of a credit. And you need like 5 credits to get a ticket. So think about that. If each survey takes you 30 minutes, how much time do you have to spend in order to get enough credits to exchange for a free movie? Now, I'm not the best at math, but if you need 5 credits and you get a third of a credit, so that, and each third is like 30 minutes, blah. Think about that. It's a lot of time. A lot of time. And for me, it's not worth it. And maybe for people out there, it is. But I can only see it now. If MoviePass wants you to, it enforces you to watch these ads that are basically tie-ins to movies, that means that you're going to expect a lot of blockbusters to have a lot of or more product placements, right? And then you're going to have advertisers that are going to put out these crazy ads that you're going to be forced to watch to give you a chance to earn a third of a credit in your goal to reach 5 credits in order to exchange it for a movie. More power to you if you have the time to it. Good luck. Godspeed. but not for me. You could count me out of that one.
Fuck off!
For sure. Star-Lord, I just made an Oscar meme. It's called Obi-Wan Oscars. Link it in the chat so that we can check it out. Last bit of news for this story. Last bit of news for this morning is what I meant to say. Yesterday, for those who are fans of video games, especially Mario, it's March 10th, so it was dubbed, or has been dubbed now for several years, as Mario Day. Because if you look at March 10, Mar 10, Mario, get it? It's brilliant.
Wow.
But anyway, it's cute. And usually on Mario Day, they have certain announcements that they make in regarding Mario. And usually it's just an option for Nintendo to advertise whatever new stuff they have coming out. So they put out a very, very short video yesterday. It was basically hype for no hype. Hype for nothing much. I'll say that. They had teaser trailers, or not even trailers. It was just like little teases about, or reminders that, yes, we're getting the remake of Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, coming out this year on the Switch. We're getting a high definition version of Luigi 2. Luigi's Mansion 2, sorry, I should say, on the Switch. This week, I think tomorrow, we have 3 Mario games releasing on the Virtual Console for Game Boy. If you are a subscriber to Nintendo Switch Online. And that's Mario Golf, Dr. Mario, and something else Mario. Mario, go F yourself. Mario jerks off in the corner while Luigi watches. But the big news and the big reveal is that we are going to get another Super Mario Brothers movie coming out by Illumination. And it is expected to come out in 2026. Wait, why ain't the link working? Oh, I don't know. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's not working because of spam control. I think that's why. Because I think I remember like when I was live streaming many years ago, I would get so many bots because of links. So that's probably why it's not working. Maybe you could type it out kind of like in the phonetic way, you know, like, well, oh, but if it's a link to something, are you allowed to DM now on X without being a paid person? Freaking Elon Musk and his paywalls and all that. Or maybe you could find me on find the LOWKEY GEEK there on X and maybe tag me on that. Share it with me on there. I forgot. Yeah. Right now, links just don't work for others outside of myself in the chat. Sorry about that. But yes, so it was announced that, and you know, Miyamoto is very happy with the success of the Mario Brothers movie, which he should be. And yeah, Super Mario Bros. Movie announced a sequel set for 2026 with same directors. Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic also directed the first Super Mario Bros. Movie released in 2023. Oh, comments. Yeah, maybe that should work too. Yeah, let me know, Star-Lord. The Super Mario Bros. Movie will return with a sequel. Nintendo announced on Sunday. The film set for release on April 3rd, 2026, will come almost exactly 3 years after the release of the original movie. Nintendo game director Shigeru Miyamoto and Illumination's Chris Meledandri announced the news during Mario Day video, celebrated annually on March 10th. March 10th. See, I already went through this whole spiel. Co-directors Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic will return for the sequel, and Meledandri said on Sunday that they and their team of animators are already busy at work storyboarding scenes and developing set designs for new environments. He continued, "We start animation soon, and rest assured we'll be obsessing over every detail to get it just right. The first Super Mario Bros. Movie told the origin story of Mario and his younger brother Luigi, who began as plumbers in Brooklyn before whisked away to the Mushroom Kingdom by way of a mysterious pipe. Keegan-Michael Key, Jack Black, Sebastian Maniscalco, and Anya Taylor-Joy filled out the rest of the cast. This time, we're thinking about broadening Mario's world further, and it'll have a bright and fun story," Miyamoto said on Sunday. The first film scored big at the box office, crossing $1 billion. Less than a month after its release, it broke several records. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. All that said. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Mario Brothers movie. I thought it was very well done. It paid proper homage to the franchise without trying to reinvent anything. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun and a lot of entertaining. And obviously a lot of people enjoyed it as well. Now, the way Miyamoto was kind of talking about it, it doesn't really, to me personally, sound like it's going to be a sequel. It just sounds like it's going to be another Mario movie. So I wonder if they're going to play on kind of like the games and how the games are laid out. Like, is it going to be kind of like how we get, like, what is that? Mario Brothers Wonder, Sunshine. You know, we gotten a Galaxy. We've gotten a lot of these Mario type of worlds introduced in their own separate games, but they're not necessarily like sequels. So I wonder if they're going to treat the movies like that. Like, could the next movie be Super Mario World? Or could the next movie be Super Mario Galaxy? Or something along those lines? Because if you want to explore more of the Mario universes, you're going to have to kind of dive into those type of game storylines and game universes. So regardless of the fact, I think Illumination did a really good job with the Mario movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend you check it out. It is by far one of the better video game adaptations that we've ever gotten. Could it be maybe the best video game adaptation we got as far as a feature film is concerned? Maybe. I would say it's definitely up, maybe top 3 for sure. So I'm looking for, and we're not going to have to wait that long. If they're planning to have this come out in 2026, then it's going to be fun. I hope the voice cast does return, because I think the voice cast did a great job with their characters. And it was a lot of fun. So I'm very curious as to how they're going to tackle this. But still, at the end of the day, when are we going to get finally a new, or not new, when are we going to get our Legend of Zelda movie? Come on. I think we're overdue. And I don't want it to be live action. Make it animated. Make it like a serious animated movie. Or make it, you know what? Team up with Leica Studios. Could you imagine Leica tackling a Zelda-like movie with their style of stop-motion animation? Oh, sign me up for that. Let's be unique. Let's be creative. Come on. The formula can work. Star-Lord. Yes, the Mario movie is good. New one, I mean, for context. Oh, yes. Let's not talk about the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo Mario movie, which is funny enough getting kind of a new love these years. I feel like a lot of the nostalgia is kicking in for a lot of the younger kids at that time who watched that movie and maybe liked it. It's getting a lot of love. It had a recent 4K DVD release, Blu-ray release, that sold out extremely quickly. So I don't know if that's just physical media collectors just going nuts over or something like that, or if the fans are really there speaking out about their love for the movie. I don't know. I don't get it. To this day, I still haven't seen it because I refused to back then. But I don't know. Maybe I will give it a shot. Maybe this year that could be one of my first time watches. I don't know. We'll see. Don't get me wrong. I trust the fungus. That's my movie. Oh my God. I recently just I rewatched the trailer to that movie, and it's just so 90s. It is like uber 90s, that whole thing. And I remember seeing that trailer come out. Like when I was, how old was I at the time? I think I was already like in high school. I'm aging myself. No shit. I mean, you see the whites in my beard. You know, I'm no spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I remember that. And I was just like, my God, this looks horrible. Especially when I saw the Goombas represented for the first time. I'm like, what are they doing? And I remember I was a huge fan of magazines like Starlog back then. Starlog and Fangoria. Those were like my favorite magazines at the time. Outside of like Nintendo Power and Electronic Gaming Monthly. And I remember Starlog had a piece about the Mario Brothers movie coming out. And they showed like the images of like Dennis Hopper and Hopkins and Leguizamo in their outfits, you know, with the springy legs. And I was like, oof, I don't know. I was excited, but at the same time, I'm just like, oof. And at this time, we already got, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Double Dragon movie come out around this time too? Let's see, Double Dragon movie. So the Double Dragon movie came out in 1994. Oh, okay. This came out. Oh, so the Super Mario Brothers movie came out in 93. Double Dragon came out in 94. And then we got Mortal Kombat in 95, I think. Right? So things weren't looking good for video game movies until Mortal Kombat came out. Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah, Mortal Kombat came out in 95. So it's funny how like year after year we had some sort of video game adaptation movie coming out that just like 2 years in a row it didn't work. And then Mortal Kombat came out and it kind of gave everyone like, oh, look, this can work. This was well done. To this day, it is kind of like a guilty pleasure movie of mine. It's not the best movie, but I love it. And the soundtrack alone is killer. I mean, you know, no pun intended there either. And then we got another slew of bad adaptations, thanks to Uwe Boll, right? Because we got Postal, then we got Dead or Alive, Street Fighter. Oh, what about the original Street Fighter movie? What year did that come out? Oh my God. I remember seeing that in the theater and I was just like, what's happening here? That also came out in 94. So in 1 year, in 1994, we got the Street Fighter movie with freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme and the great Ming-Na Wen. I will say, one of the greatest bright spots of that movie. Loved Ming-Na Wen. And the late, great Raul Julia also, which I believe that was his last movie before he died. So, I mean, a good list of actors here. You had Kylie Minogue also playing Cammy. But in 1 year, we had Street Fighter and Double Dragon. And then Mortal Kombat in 95. And then we had the Uwe Boll universe of video game movies that were just like, what's happening? What's going on right now? And then we got that new Street Fighter movie. Right? Am I wrong? Wasn't there another new Street Fighter movie that came out like in the late 90s, like into the 2000s? 2009, I think it is, right? Let me see. I think that starred like Jamie Chung. Yeah, Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. Kristen Crook. God. I need to go revisit that movie. Who directed this movie? Andrzej... Sorry for butchering your name. Andrzej Bartkowiak. Bartkowiak. Oh my gosh. A 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh man. I think this is what I'm going to do. I know almost all the game references in that movie. Starlord, which movie are you talking about? Let me know. That was okay. Are you talking about the Chun-Li one? I think this is what I'm going to do. Because right now memberships are open if you're interested in signing up. Right now, just for $1 a month, you can sign up to be a friend of the show. But I'm coming up with 3 new tiers this month. I'm going to call it my tiers of the kingdom. One tier, you can join kind of like a video game club where we talk about video games. Maybe we'll talk about a game of the month. We'll have play-alongs, streams, all that good stuff. Another one will be for movie club, where we'll do movie watch-alongs, and we'll curate special months of featured directors or actors or whatever the case is. And then we'll have another tier that's like, if you want to do all of that stuff with me, then by all means, there you go. I think as part of the movie club, there has to be like a bad movie night. Or, yeah, every month we'll feature a bad movie night. And I think we should do a series of all of these video game movies from the 90s. And we'll do it like month after month, right? Or maybe we'll do 2 a month. I don't know. I still haven't planned it out yet. But I gotta revisit Double Dragon. I gotta revisit Street Fighter. I gotta revisit this one, Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. And then all the Uwe Boll movies. I mean, how fantastic would that be? Oh, that would be the best. And he's done so many. So many. Let's see. Let's just name them. He did a I totally forgot he did this too. He did Blood Rain, Far Cry, Alone in the Dark, Postal, House of the Dead, oh my God. And he even did a sequel to Blood Rain. Wow. Unreal. Unreal. And then we have to include that Dead or Alive movie that came out too. Because that was another interesting one. I think that was that 1999? No, the 99 one was the actual Hong Kong movie. I think this was 2006. Yes, DOA, Dead or Alive. Based off of the fighting game. You had Jamie Presley, Devon Aoki, directed by Corey Yuen. Now, would you consider Resident Evil to be bad movies, or are they good bad movies? Because I don't mind the first one, and then after that, it kind of went off the rails. Tekken, yes, you're right. Tekken is another one. What year did that come out? Tekken movie. That came out in 2010. Oh, the late great Cary Hiroki is in that. Tagawa. Cary Tagawa is in that movie. I never saw this movie. It's good. I love them all. Dated, but good. As far as Resident Evil goes, right? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Resident Evil has its major fan base. And I really love, hold on. I'm a huge fan of Mia Jovovich. I remember one time at New York Comic Con, I had a chance to meet her, and very sweetheart of a person. And she loves this franchise. She loved these movies, and of course, she was doing them with her husband. I don't know if they're still married, but that's one of the reasons why they did so many together. But I feel like Resident Evil are movies that are bad but good. Right? And like I said, has this huge fan base. And I thought the first one was okay. And then I think I watched the second one and third one, and then everything after I just didn't. But I heard a lot of people love the 3D one. What was that? Afterlife, I think it was called. But I mean, that could be an interesting watch too, for sure. But it's nothing compared to all the bad ones I previously mentioned. So that could be coming on down later the line. I'll be sure to make the proper announcements on the channel about all that stuff, because I think that would be a lot of fun at the end of the day. But yeah, I think that's gonna call it for me for this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and get on with my Monday. But as always, Star-Lord, appreciate you being here. I appreciate it. Everyone else who stopped in, even though briefly, to check out the stream, or who will be watching in the replay. So thank you so much. Obviously, like, subscribe if you haven't done so lately. You hate hearing me and talking and listening to me talk, you could dislike it too. Do whatever you wish. It's nothing but love here, but I always appreciate the support. I will be back live again on Wednesday morning talking about my binge of the week. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And stay tuned to the channel for all these updates and new things to come. So thank you again so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Hope your week turns out well. If I happen to not see you at all anymore throughout the week, hope your week is a blessed one, a great one, a powerful one that you make it your own. Star-Lord, I hope you continue to feel better. I will catch you all Wednesday. Until then, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.